Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Youth Industry Talks. Today we have someone super exciting, Nathan Janak. He is 16 years old. He is from Texas. He has been acting since he was about 5 years old and doing it professionally for about 5 years. He's been a series regular on 2 Nickelodeon shows, All That and Drama Club. He is starring in an upcoming feature film. He's also done a bunch of co-star roles on Disney and Nickelodeon and ABC. He is so experienced. He is super wise. And here it is. Nathan, here he is. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Nathan. I was on a few shows. I was on Nickelodeon, on All That, and then Nickelodeon's Drama Club, and then now I'm in a new movie called The Prank, and it's a feature. It's really fun, and I've been in the industry for this is probably my fifth year going into the industry. I came out to LA back in 2016 in August, and so I've had a little experience and through my years with acting and excited to be here.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. So my first question is the annoying question I ask everybody, same question I get all the time. What made you want to start acting, and when did you make the decision to want to do it as like a profession?
Well, I started acting back when I was like 5 years old. So it was in a school play. They were having auditions for the play. It was like nothing serious. They just wanted someone who was loud and can talk loud because you needed to project. And so I was 5 years old and they were like, oh, we need like a Chicken Little because that was the production. And so we all like auditioned and it was just like who could speak the loudest? And me being me, very loud always, even as a 5 year old, I was very loud and I ended up getting the role. And at first, I'm like, okay, whatever, like I got it, I guess. And then we did the show, and after like seeing the applause, like the audience, and like with being with the cast and performing like that, it was just so much fun. And I'm like, I want to do this forever now. Like I want to do this again. And so, throughout my years, I was doing theater, like local theater and school productions until finally where I'm like, Mom, I really want to go out to LA. Like, I really think that, I can learn so much out there. And I really want to take my acting skills to the next level. And so we went through a program called Nikki Peterson Talent through Texas. It's like a talent scout. And you're in this group and you get trained. And for 9 months, every weekend, like it's crazy. And like once a month, every weekend. And you have scenes, and then we would perform in front of agent and managers in LA. And so we did that in 2016, and then in May, and then I moved out in August.
Wow,
And
that
I
happened.
got my start.
Wow. So did you get your first agent slash manager from doing those showcases, or did you get it when you moved out to LA?
From the showcases. Yeah, it was from that showcase.
And are you still with the same people, or have you moved
I'm
your
still
team?
with the same people.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Like you found your people you want to like work with.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, I
awesome.
really love them a lot. They're so great. And I think having an agent and manager that you're so comfortable with is so more important. It's so important.
Yeah. That leads to a question. So in doing those classes and showcases, what would be something to tell people, like some of the most important steps to do before going to get an agent or manager or submitting yourself?
Well, I definitely think would be prepared and be committed because truly they can see like how prepared you are or how committed you are to doing what you love to do. And you need to best translate that through your work because that's what they want to see. They want to see your passion and it has to be transparent.
Yeah. That's great advice. And did you start auditioning obviously right away, I assume, when you got your representation, started auditioning professionally?
Yes, literally on the day that I met with them, they sent me out on an audition.
Oh, wow. So yeah, it happens fast. It does happen pretty
It
fast,
does.
especially if you're in a big market like LA or New York. So for in terms of auditioning, do you have a quote unquote like process, or do you kind of go with the flow depending on the character or genre or scene or whatever?
That's a very good question. That depends. It really depends. But usually, what I always do is I always read the character description. I read everyone else's character description, and then I research everybody who's involved in the project, like the casting director, the producers, the writers, even the director if they have it already. So that's what I do first. And then from there on, I look at the material, and usually, I can memorize material. I would say not super fast, but not so slow. Like it's not hard for me. And so I can do that in like 30 minutes, at most an hour, if I'm like really focused. So but yeah, and then that's what and then so I memorize it first. I think memorizing is far more important than figuring out how you're going to say it.
Mhm.
And so I memorize it first, and then one of my old castmates taught me this, but they would say every line 10 times, and each 10 times has to be different. And so that way you can kind of like figure it out. And then as you're figuring it out, you become more familiar with like what's going on. And so that's what I did. And so that's what I do now. Like I always like I have an iPad. So I just mark 1, 2, like I tally it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how I figure it out.
Oh, that's a really good tip. I always struggled when memorize one way to say it. And then when I like do the audition or self-tape or wherever the audition is, it doesn't seem natural. And I've had to like get myself out of doing that. That's a really, it's very smart. I'm gonna use that. And also, so you started before the pandemic. So I assume there was a big switch to do self-tapes. Do you have a preference of self-tapes or in person?
Oh, I would say self-tapes 100%. And yes, I did start before the pandemic, but I feel like 2016, like a really good year to be out and like, cause you're still kind of exploring the self-tape world. Like I did plenty of self-tapes in my time until I booked all that, which was in 2019.
Mhm.
But yeah, self-tapes all the way because, I love being in person. Don't get me wrong. I love being in person, especially with great casting directors. But like, it's just so much more comfortable at home.
I agree. I feel like so many actors are always like, oh, I love in person, the energy. And I'm like, yeah, but you mess up. And like if I mess up in my self-tape setup, it's much different than messing up in front of like
Right.
producers and people.
Right. Also, if you like live in LA, it's literally horrible to like go to Santa Monica for like a commercial audition. You know what place I'm talking about, right?
I
Like
can't
you
imagine.
go all the way to Santa Monica, like at an audition at like 4 o'clock. Like you're gonna be there all night. Like
Ah, I know. That must have been crazy. Are you in LA right now?
no, I'm in Texas right now. Texas is my hometown. Well,
Okay.
not hometown, that's my home state.
State.
But Sugar Land, Texas is my hometown.
Right. Okay, so this is a question I love asking everybody because everyone's answer is so different. What was your very, very first onset experience, no matter the scale? And how has it evolved and changed in the biggest lesson you learned about what it's like to really be on a set?
Wow. My first time on like a real set was the first job I booked, obviously. It was during my first year out here. I booked an Amtrak commercial. Amtrak is like a train company. And so, they operate mainly on the East Coast, so we wouldn't know. But I did an Amtrak commercial and I was there for probably like I would not even say more than 3 hours. Like it was so quick. And it was just crazy because we filmed like on the actual train, not while it was moving, but just like in the train for the set. And so that was fun. It was just crazy because, we had the school teacher, not used to that. We had the school trailer, not used to that. All the like breakfast options, which I thought was so cool, the food and stuff. And it was just so quick being a commercial. Like I felt like I didn't get to meet everyone or like really have a good set experience. So it was interesting.
Yeah. And then how it like changed, how it like evolved, like the biggest thing you
Oh,
learned doing it
right,
many more times after that.
right. So I did a few co-star roles after that. So I was there for less than a week for some of these roles. I did some on Disney, I did some on Nickelodeon. And when I first booked my first series, that was like crazy going from that Amtrak commercial and the co-star roles to a big series regular role, like being there like all 5 days of the week. It's just it was crazy. And I would say that it would prepare me, but that's not true because working on set like that religiously, you begin to learn a lot of things and pick up a lot of things. And it's just, you have an insight that cannot be taught. Like it has to be learned through experience.
Yeah. And I have to ask, what was the audition process like, everything before going on set for all that and also Drama Club, because that one's newer?
Mhm. Well, the audition process for all that, it's much more dramatic, much more story. So I think I went in almost 9 times. Um, yeah, yeah, it was crazy. So like I auditioned and all that they wanted you to come with your own sketch characters. I initially only came in with one. It was this southern kind of gossiping like church lady who loved to spill everyone's tea. And I was like 11 at the time. So no, I wasn't 11. I was that's a lie. It was 2019, so I was like 14.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know why I said 11.
Younger than you are now. Whatever. Close enough.
I don't know why I said 11, but I was 14 and I went in with the character. And on the ride back, they're like, okay, we want to call you back. And so called back and they're like, oh, we also want you to do another character. And so like I had to make another character. And then I went in the next day and like it was the producer and, some other people, like the other casting directors. And, it's just a big room. So I thought because the room would get bigger for the network test, which I got after that. But after that too, we had like this workshop where it was you, a few of the producers, and the set coach going through your characters and kind of like polishing them up so that way they could present them to the network.
Right.
And so then I did the network test, and then the test was good. I think I went last.
God, okay.
So I went last, and definitely my nerves were really high, but I think I crushed it. So that's good. Until, a few days later, they're like, hey, we need you to come in again, like for a workshop, because we want you to do more characters. And so like I was like, okay. And then I went in again, did the thing, and then I went to the test again. And the test was at Paramount Studios, and it was with the same people in the room, but I had to present 3 new characters. So, and I had a weekend to prepare it all. And that's where I think having a great agent and manager really helps out, because without them, like helping me come up with the characters, like polishing it up, like working with them, like I was at my manager's place for like a whole day, like just trying to work on these characters and polish them and create like a good minute-long like solo sketch. And so that was fun. It was a lot of anxiety. And I remember talking to my mom, like, why are they making me do this? Like, I already came in with the 2 characters. Like, I thought they really liked me, like, but they just wanted to see more. They wanted to see if I could be more versatile, like, if I could really, like, show that, I can do all forms of sketch, which looking back at it now, I'm very thankful for that they gave me that opportunity instead of just saying, no, we don't think he's versatile enough, or like, no, we don't think like he can handle that.
They still gave you the opportunity.
So I'm really happy for that opportunity. And then on the way to get an Uber back from the test, like not even 30 minutes afterwards, we get a call from my agent and manager. And they're like, hey, how do you think you did? And in the test, I think I completely bombed. Like I forgot to introduce myself as the character. Like I forgot like a line or two. I was just like not good. Right. It was 3 characters. Okay. And so they call me. I'm like, I don't think I did very good. And they're like, oh, well, you booked it. So, and it was just kind of crazy because it was like my first thing I ever booked. And like, I was coming off a streak of tests that were no after no after no. Right. So like getting to the last stage and then having it be no after no. And then you finally booked something big and something that I really love doing, just sketch comedy and playing like a bunch of characters and such a great show. It was just amazing. And me and my mom both cried. So on the side of the street.
Wow, that's a story. And also all that was like the audition process is very different from, I feel like, every other TV film, because like it's a sketch show. You have to play so many different things. It's not like a typical sitcom or like a written, script for every single episode. So yeah, that's very different. I've never auditioned for a sketch show, so I didn't even know that it would be like that. That's wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was at the I still can't believe I tested twice. Like I didn't even know that existed, but I'm so thankful for that. So, Same contract though for both tests. Nothing crazy. No pay increases sadly. But,
Even though you had to do two tests.
right, exactly. But the audition process for drama club was completely not that. It was created by two of the writers on Whole Back. So they kind of knew me. They kind of like understood my range and
Yeah.
what characters I can play. And I remember talking to them and they kind of like Oliver was like very much you. They like really wanted um my take on Oliver. And that's why they wanted to audition me and see how I could do. And so I auditioned and then a few weeks later I got a call from my agent manager and just said that like, like I booked it basically. And at the time I was like, oh, that's great. But like coming off of like the audition process from all that a year before, where it was like so long until just like one and done audition, it was like I was still trying to like absorb it all.
Right.
So that was kind of crazy. But the audition process for drama club, so easy. Like it was I was in and out.
Yeah.
Like it was great.
That's crazy. Yeah, it just shows like how like projects, like the way the audition process is for each project can be completely different. Like it's just whatever the casting director wants or whatever the director wants, their producers,
Right.
and then the network like way up there. You said you did other network tests before booking all that, like you had gotten very far and then
Mhm.
no.
Mhm.
This is a hard question because I still don't even have an answer for it. Is there a way that you have dealt with rejection, and is it still a constant struggle? Do you just kind of let it happen? Like
It's a
how do you
constant
get there?
struggle.
Yeah.
And being actors, we're dramatic, so we're lying if we're saying that we're holding it in. Like
Yes.
we really we do a lot. We do the most. And so that's what I do at least. I be very dramatic sometimes. You know, uh,
No, I'm
like
the same
I
way.
just can't deal with it sometimes. It's very hurtful. It's
It
so
is.
hurtful.
It is. It is. And a lot of the times, well, I guess it again depends on the audition. Sometimes a rejection, sometimes it is like a no, like they'll say, like, no, you didn't get it. And other times it's just complete silence. Like you just don't hear anything. And you're like, oh, okay, I guess I didn't get it. Like, I guess they didn't like me. Like, I didn't hear anything. So
Right, exactly.
it's so annoying.
So annoying. I
I
hate
wish they
it.
could
I
have
hate
just like
it.
an automated like email list, like to send to everybody, like, okay, like even if it's like 3 words, like you didn't get it, like
I would
just
actually
so I
appreciate
know.
that a lot more.
Yeah.
But being in the industry definitely prepares you for a lot of rejection in your early like life, and then you'll have that experience for your whole life now.
Yep. Yep. And even when you do book something, like I feel like actors, when you think someone, oh, they booked a series regular role, oh, they're fine. Like they're set for life. Like you're still constantly auditioning and
Exactly.
constantly unemployed. I
Exactly.
yeah. Yep. Okay, so this is the last like three questions are like overarching questions. So you can go as deep or as not deep as you want. It's up to you.
Mhm.
What has been one of or a few of the biggest lessons that you've learned so far being in the industry?
Wow, that's a very good question. I would definitely say focus on yourself and stay in your own lane. I mean, really, from being on set and even auditioning and going out here with a group of peers who were like, in my instance, in the same group as you, in the same part of that same talent scout program. We all came out to LA. Well, at least most of us did. We're all around the same age. And, it could be kind of confusing sometimes, especially for other people, like, to see, hey, you got this and that, or you're booking things quicker, or you got more callbacks quicker. Like, you know, it's just observing that for me was like, I really need to make sure that I don't become those type of people and like stay in my own lane, right? And even on set, like focusing on what you need to do and what you need to get done is so, so important. And having that mindset will not only uplift yourself and your professionalism, but uplift the entire show. Truly. Like if you just focus on yourself and focus on what you need to get done, right? And not focusing on other things and focusing on the material in front of you and performing a, a, a great job in front of the camera, in front of everybody, and just focusing on yourself, making sure that you have your stuff together. And I think that's literally the biggest lesson for every actor, that you have to really just at the end of the day focus on what you need to do and what motivates you.
That's really good advice. That's so true. It's so easy to like get caught up in what everybody else is doing and comparing yourself to like, why did this person book this thing and I didn't? Or why did they get like 4 callbacks last week and I got like none, you know?
Right.
That's great advice. And it's also hard to learn. You have to like learn it for yourself sometimes, like
Yeah.
realize just you have to do it for yourself. And if this is really what you want to do, just keep going.
Seriously though, valuing your own path is so special because we all have tracks laid out for us and we need to follow them, but we shouldn't be following other people's or telling other people how to follow theirs.
Right. That's so true. That's amazing advice. And my other thing, they're kind of two questions, I guess linked together. Since you've been in the industry for, I think you said like upcoming 5 years or 6 years or something,
Yeah.
because you're six. Yeah. Um, what, if any, like issues have you seen like in the industry that you hope us as a generation growing up into the industry can hopefully try and fix or work to evolve?
Right. And I really think that's the toxic social media kind of like issues sometimes, especially with actors. It can be very, just even myself, when I see people on social media, I'm kind of like, hey, that's kind of upsetting. Like, oh, I wish that could be me, or like, oh, I want that, or, just kind of like a negative perception about each other and what other people are accomplishing. And that brings me back to my other point where it's like stay in your own lane. But I think that there's a lot of social media culture, especially with the acting youth and in the entertainment youth, especially since we're incorporating influencers now to be a part of our industry. Like, I think that's really important to kind of like use social media for a more positive way and not to focus on negatives or to compare yourself to others, but try to uplift one another, especially as actors. Like, you have to, because these are only people who will understand what you're going through.
Yeah. I say all the time to like people who are like just starting in the industry, or they're like, oh, what's it like being an actor? I'm like, support your other actors, like find your group of people, have other fellow actor friends, and just be supportive of each other. Not a jealousy thing, not like a like just to be there to support and help each other, because no one else understands what it's really like to be an actor and to
Mhm.
audition as your job all the time than other actors themselves.
And I think I was really lucky because when I moved out to LA, I already had that group, being with people for 9 months from the same state in Texas, like almost sometimes the same cities, just a few hours away from each other, like being around the same age, having the same passion and dreams. We had each other and we were there for one another. And we were honestly a kind of feel of normalcy because we're all homeschooled, but like we were all still friends and we all still got along. We all played together and we were all like normal kids. And I feel like one thing very important that we did too was not talk about acting. Like, that's honestly what it could be sometimes. We did acting class together, sure, but like on our own independent time, we were just kids and we were just hanging out and we're just having fun. And I think that's really important too. You have to stay authentic and you have to stay true to yourself. And you have to explore and find other passions as well, and find other things that interest you, and you have to be real. Like, you really have to be real because people can see it, and it's kind of a turnoff when you're in a whole city full of actors, and of course they love acting, of course they're good at it, but what makes you different? Like, what's your personality like? And
Yep.
being true to that and having a good group of friends where you can literally just talk about anything or like just hang out and have fun and not have to always talk about like acting or how you did an audition or
Right.
what the coaching material was like or who's the best acting coach, like what's the best class to go to. Like, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, that's very true. And something that's so funny, the last industry talk I did like a week ago or something, we were talking about how our friends in school or like in our hometown feel about us acting. And one of the things I said is my close friends who I've been friends with like forever, they like don't care. I mean, they care and they're supportive, but like that's not what we talk about. Like
Right.
they're like, so what'd you do in math class yesterday? Like, did you get the
Right.
answers for this? Like, that's what we talk about. Like, if I get some huge audition or some callback, like, oh, cool, like great. But then we just talk about anything else. And I think that's good to have. Like, I don't know if it would help me necessarily if my friends were like always asking me about like, oh, how's your acting career going? What are you doing? What are you doing? I feel like that just wouldn't be helpful. I think it's good to
Exactly.
have people who you can just be people with.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think I speak for most like actors, but like we don't honestly like when we're with our friend group and we hang out, like we don't always want to talk about acting or what we're doing because we just want to be we want to have fun. We just want to be like a normal kid who's not doing online school, like just all of that. And I have a great group of friends for my online school. So it's great. I love hanging out with them. We have a whole Discord server and we FaceTime all the time. And so we love to hang out with each other virtually, but we're a great group of friends.
That's awesome. Yeah, I found that too, like a virtual group of friends, like over the pandemic that I've gotten really close with because like couldn't really go anywhere.
Right.
Yeah. And my very, very last question, you kind of already got over it, but this is the last question I always ask. Biggest piece of advice to people who want to get started in the industry, who are just starting to get into the acting world of things.
Well, I kind of said this before, but honestly, figuring out your passion for it because you truly, really, really do have to want it. I mean, I want to be a singer. I want to be a pop star. Like I want to be like Ariana Grande. I want to like sell out tours and stuff, and I want to have platinum records, diamond records. But I have no passion for that. Like I don't love to learn how to sing. I'm not even good at it. Like I don't. That's not me. Like dancing too. I love to be a dancer. Like that looks like so much fun. But I have no passion to learn how to dance. I have no desire for that. I don't want to. I don't want to. Pursue that because I have no love for that. Like sure, it might seem fun to do, but at the end of the day, I'm not willing to work hard to do that because that's not something that's not a goal of mine. That's not something that I aspire to. That's not something I've wanted to do since I was 5 years old, doing that school play. Acting is that for me. I want to do whatever it takes to be successful. I want to do whatever it takes, without hurting anyone, of course, and focusing on myself, but do whatever I can for my skills to better myself, like that's what you need to focus on. You need to focus on, is this something I want to do? Am I willing to work hard for it? You need to find that passion and you need to find that drive. And that's my number one tip for actors, because you can coach someone, you can give someone the best memorization tips, the best character tips, but at the end of the day, it's up for them to use their passion and their drive to put that stuff into action. And if that's not there, then it's not acting.
Yeah, that's very true. And a lot of the times that also goes to the whole thing of don't get into acting if you want to be famous, because the truth is, like, in the reality of things, how many actors there are and how many quote unquote like very, very famous actors there are, you just have to be lucky. Very few really like get to that like high, like everybody knows who their name is, but there are a lot of working actors because that's their passion and that's their job. They do it because they love it. They don't do it because they want to be famous or they want like everybody to know who they are. That's also another thing I've seen of people like, oh, I want to be an actor to like be famous. And I'm like, no, I don't think you have a passion for acting.
That's a red flag.
Yeah, that's a red flag. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Last thing. Oh, any plugs like Instagrams, things to watch, subscribe to, anything like that?
You can just follow me on Instagram. I'm sure if you just search up Nathan Janak, I'll pop up. I have a blue check mark. Thank you so much, Instagram. And thank you to my Texas State ID, because I've been requesting one since like 2020. And I finally got it like a few months ago. Because
you need
my
it
old passport did not work until I took a photo of my Texas State ID, and then suddenly it worked. And then I got the check mark, not even like 2 hours later. It's so weird.
Oh, right, because you have to have the document, the whatever official document thing to prove that it's really you, right? Oh,
that was so weird. Literally, I got my Texas State ID and I'm like, I'm just gonna submit it, see what happens. Because I have been submitting since like the beginning of 2020. And I'm like, why am I? No, not even the beginning of 2020. Late 2019, I was submitting. Okay, when we got more episodes for all that.
right.
Because and I'm like, why am I not getting verified? Like what am I doing wrong, Instagram? And apparently they just wanted like an ID or something. And like,
but a passport isn't an ID.
I know. Why did my passport work? But suddenly, but I kid you not, literally, I just do it for fun. I just submit my Texas State ID. Not even 2 hours later, I go on my Instagram and I'm verified.
That's so those documents to get, especially like there's all the things we have to have as minors are so annoying to like get in the mail or like talk to people. Like when I had to set up my like acting like federal bank account thing, that took forever. The thing I had to do for my work permit for New York took forever
The
to get
New
approved.
York work permit. Yes. Oh my gosh.
Forever.
Yeah.
Literally took so long. Like I got all the documents. I had my
That
teacher
too.
sign the thing. I had my doctor sign the thing.
Right.
Took forever. And then
And
when
that's
time
why my mom is a legend.
oh,
Because you know, California work permit and everything,
right,
but Nickelodeon sent me and my other castmate Gabby to go do something in New York for the Nickelodeon upfront, and so we're technically employed for that. We got paid for
right.
that, you know. So we had to get a New York work permit. Also, I think we had to get a Florida one too, because they also sent um, uh, two other castmates, Lex and Gabby, and I to Miami for the 2020 Super Bowl. Like we got to do some Nickelodeon stuff down there.
Right.
And so we were working too, and we got paid for that. So all of that work permit stuff is so messy. Like my
It
mom handles all of that. She handles all the paperwork, the documents, the contracts, and everything. Me being 16, I should be doing that now, but you know,
yeah.
I love
I
my mom. I
I
can't do
said
it
my
without my
mom, like we're
mom.
always like partners. I try and do it myself, but then I get confused. I'm like, Mom, you have to help me. I don't know how to do this. Like you need to email this to this person. Like I don't understand how to do this. It's crazy. Oh my gosh. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye. So yeah, that was my talk with Nathan. It was amazing to hear his insight and advice to actors and about not comparing yourself to other people and his extensive on-camera experience, what his experiences were like with Nickelodeon, doing all that in drama club, the differences between being a series regular and just kind of being thrown into that compared to co-star roles and smaller roles. He's so experienced, he's so wise. Please listen to everything he said. He's totally right. You guys can follow his Instagram. I'll put it in the description. And yeah, stay tuned for more.